Good morning to you, sir. So, how's it going?
It is, we're in the flurry of the end of the year right now. It's very fast and furious.
Let's just stop messing around and let's just rip the Band-Aid right off this interview.
Right at the beginning. Okay.
Absolutely. Let's talk about something fun and lighthearted and uplifting. Legislatively, how are things going, Mr. Porter?
Wait, that's the opposite of fun.
Absolutely, it's the opposite of everything I just said, for sure. But let's get to that. Yeah.
So, with the legislation, you have heard and read about when they started in January here in Washington State. Depending on who you talk to, they were saying, hey, the next 4 years is going to be $6 billion or $16 billion in the hole for the next 4 years. And so the legislature got together and started trying to find ways to remedy that.
Sure.
And one of the ways that they were talking about was really raising revenue, as they call raising taxes, revenue streams. Another way to say taxes.
Yeah.
And they started off with, I think, something unbelievable, like $22 billion increase. And the governor, our new governor, Ferguson, jumped into it, which Governor Inslee did not as much.
Yeah.
And so Governor Ferguson said, we have to have something that's sustainable. And it shocked a lot of people that he moved a little bit towards the moderate.
I'm almost pleased with him on some things. Yeah.
So that was a surprise.
Yeah.
And so they cut back, and he jumped in a couple of different times what he was talking about. One was, which surprised me too, was that he was saying he really wanted a $100 million grant set aside for law enforcement because Washington State is 50 out of 50 out of all the states, and he really wants to increase that. And I thought, wow, that is great. And so he ended up getting that in the legislation, and they did end up increasing taxes by $9 billion, which is with a B, which is the highest ever in Washington State. And what I really care about, of course, is paying attention to the education world. And so I'm watching education, and I'm seeing what are they doing with that. And they were looking at increasing the overall spending for schools. Usually the budget the past few years has slowly been slipping in the percentage that is given to education. As the budget increases, I understand that's hard to maintain, but there was definitely a little bit of a drop, and we did not see as much as we were anticipating for an increase. And there was some, which is great. We'll always say thank you to that. So there was material supplies and other costs, and so that's like your insurance, that's your fuel, electricity, those type of things, which have really gone up. We know that for everybody. Yes, and for schools, that insurance is just unbelievable how much it has just accelerated the past few years. And so there was a little bit of an increase for that, to pay for that. And then there was also special ed funding, which I've talked about in the past, that there was a slight increase with that. They took off, there was a cap of like 16% of your students could be identified as special ed that they would fund. That cap has been removed, which is helpful, of course. Yeah. And then there was a little bit for transportation for our buses and our vans. And the thing that changed with that was we usually receive money for buses, but not for vans. And so that changed this year. So there will be some depreciation for the vans that we use, especially when our buses are tied up. So there was a slight increase, but what had been calculated out, the superintendents had met in January and talked about what would be our platform, what would be requesting from the legislators, and the amount that we are underfunded across the state is about $3 billion, and that's in those three areas I just talked about because of the increase in the insurance and fuel and everything. And what the legislature was able to do was to give us about $380 million, so substantially less. But again, I definitely don't want to look a gift horse in the mouth, and it's like, hey, it was a little bit of an increase, so thank you for that. But this is the thing that directly impacts OMAC, which was a challenge and came out of left field. They put together a package that was specifically targeting schools that had online programs. And we have Washington Virtual Academy. That they have been partnering with us for just about 20 years now. And the part of the bill was around ALE, which is alternative learning environments, and the way that they fund it. And so what they came up with is that if your online school is bigger by 33% or more than your brick and mortar school, then we're going to take that funding back. And so OMAC is looking at, we have about 1,450 kids here in person, brick and mortar, here in our OMAC school system. But then online, we have about 4,300 kids. So substantially above and beyond.
So are kids going to get expelled?
No, they will not get expelled.
Kicked out the internet?
No.
Yeah.
But it definitely is going to impact OMAC by about $3 million.
Yikes.
And so that's a pretty big hit, which just came out of left field. And so there's a total of 8 small schools that are impacted. A number of the larger schools also have ALE programs, but there's no way they will ever exceed what they have in their brick and mortar.
Yeah.
You know, it's just because we're smaller and our online presence is so big, and that's across the state, that it's going to impact us about $3 million.
What was their justification? What's the reasoning behind penalizing you for having a successful online program?
Right, and we felt like we were playing by the rules and doing what we're supposed to do. Yeah. The justification is they're trying to do a cost savings. So they're trying to save money across the state, and so they feel that online schools don't need the money that we're providing to the students, and yet the students still have to have interventions. So they have to have teachers who are helping them with special education, with interventions. They do participate in oftentimes in their sporting, their local schools. Their parents still pay taxes. It's not like because they go online, all of a sudden the parents don't have to pay any taxes. So that money basically follows the kids, and they were saying, no, we want to save some money. And so essentially you're looking at a $78 billion budget for the state of Washington, and this would save them about $10 million from these 8 schools. And so I'm like, $10 million is just a drop in the bucket, but it sure is big when it's a smaller school, and how much it impacts us with $3 million. So we really look closely at, we're trying to stay away from any reduction in force where you have to cut people. And so we were able to economize and streamline and cut in a lot of other areas. And I think that as we are looking at it, it's going to be painful, but we did not have to cut any people.
Yeah.
But some of the areas we're looking at is like our technology. We're not going to be replacing our technology for a year or two. It'll just be spread out further down the road. We are also looking at our maintenance and grounds. So we do a lot of projects every summer, and we're cutting back on that quite a bit. Our curriculum adoptions, we've been trying to adopt. We have like a 7-year cycle, and if you adopt reading, then 7 or 8 years later you'll adopt a reading program again.
Sure.
And social studies, you think about how so much changes in the world in 7 years. Your social studies books are really outdated. The history, it's just like changed so much.
I mean, some things, math, English is English,
absolutely.
Reading is reading, but current
social
events,
studies,
that's
science,
constantly changing.
Absolutely.
Sure. Yeah.
And then we were also fortunate in with attrition. So attrition is essentially when somebody retires or they move on. We were really looking closely at every position and saying, do we absolutely have to have this position?
Yeah.
Can we make it without it by combining a class together with another one?
Yeah, do some restructuring. Sure.
So it might make it will make a few of the classes a little bit larger, but it will not be excessively large. It's not going to be like 40 kids in a classroom. It will not be that. So through that, we were able to save that $3 million. And the hard thing is that is going to continue. It's not just like a 1-year thing and, next year you get that money back. Nope. So this is our new reality, essentially. So that was, like I said, that was out of the blue. And one of the things that was interesting is I really got involved in the legislation this year, which I usually do not. I wait till more towards the end because things change so much. Starting in January all the way until April, it's crazy all the changes that take place. So I wrote letters, sent emails, I called people, and I actually testified remotely, which is a brand new, unique experience. You don't always have to go in person to testify. You can do it online. Mm-hmm. And so it takes your screen just like a typical Zoom. But what's fascinating is you see at the bottom, you see your picture. Then the middle screen, you see the Ways and Means Committee who's sitting there watching you. And then at the top, you have a timer. And it starts with 60 seconds, and it's green. And then when it hits 30, it goes to yellow.
Yeah.
And then when it hits 0, it's red, and they just stop you. It's like, okay, so you only have 1 minute to say your piece. And so I found that I was really talking fast like this. Like, oh, slow down. You got to slow down, but you only have 60 seconds.
An economy of words.
Yes, it's an economy of words.
I'm curious.
Yes.
When you mentioned the class sizes, for example.
Yes.
And of course, the cost savings by, when possible, combining two classes into one.
Right.
I'm just curious if you're able to economize in that way, and you had a class size that was maybe a little pushing the envelope.
Right.
Would it be more cost efficient to keep that large classroom and hire an extra para or two?
And we have done that, yes.
Okay,
yes, yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
We have done that in the past as well, just to provide support for that classroom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, so it's been, like I said, the whole legislation has just kind of, like I said, come out of left field. And I've learned a lot going through this process and, sharing it with other school districts up and down the valley. And they do not have the online programs that we do. And so it's really unique to OMAC and, like I said, the other 7 small schools.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it is interesting when you're presenting to the Ways and Means Committee and you can tell they've already made up their minds. So it almost sometimes feels a little like a defeatist attitude. I don't want to be a negative Nelly, but it's hard when you're sitting there and you're realizing I think they've made up their mind because they're not even paying attention to what I'm saying.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't be very good at, because I would call them out on that.
Right.
I wouldn't be very good at all.
Well, and it's on party lines is the other frustrating thing too, is that our representatives have been great, very supportive, and they spoke for us as well, which I really appreciated. Yeah. But then you have the other side that's like, no, thank you. It's just, this is basically down party lines.
So in January, we not you personally, but you go from Chicken Little because the sky is falling, and now you're at the end of it all. So did the sky fall nearly as much as we all thought it was, predicted, or is there some bright spots?
It doesn't seem to have. Yeah. There was definitely some things that did come to pass that they were saying would happen. Yeah. And the raising of the taxes was a surprise. I guess our gas is going to go up 6 cents starting July 1st. It's like,
I know. I'm so excited. I can't wait. I think it's awesome.
I was telling one of our, because I was going around talking to the different buildings and sharing with them, and I said, we started off at the beginning of the year as number 1 in the highest gas tax, and look at us, we're still number 1.
That's right.
I don't know if that's something to write home about.
We're number 1. Yeah, that's wonderful. So that took a chunk.
That did, but you know what? We do.
But it was good.
It was. We do have some positive things that are going on.
And that's why I wanted to end that way. Get that other stuff out of the way. So let's end with
Okay. So some of the good things that are going on. Yeah, we're wrapping up our Smarter Balance testing right now, our assessments, SBAs, and that's getting wrapped up. And we have Camp D for our 6th graders. That's going to be taking place starting this next week, and that's always a fun adventure. That's for the next 2 weeks. We'll have 2 different groups that are going to be going up there. So we have all that set up. And what's been good about the past few years is that we have we have received a grant that gave us a little bit of extra money to do some repairs up at Camp D. So one of the challenges we've always had is that road can get so muddy, and it's in the spring, it's soft as the snow is melting, and so we've had some opportunities to be excited as driving our buses up there. So we've been able over the past couple of years, because of these grants, to put some more gravel down, and working with, because it's on the reservation, they've come in, and Kate's and Herb has helped put gravel up there and smoothed it out, compacted it, and so we did a little bit more this year. Nice. So it's been nicer to drive up there, so you don't have the challenges. So we've done that. We're looking at maybe we need to do a little bit of roofing on some of the places that the kids are sleeping. That's always an expense, and so we're thinking, okay, well, we still have this grant because this is the last year of it. Let's try to get some of the bigger things done. So we're looking at maybe doing that. We were able to update our kitchen a couple of years ago, which was great. So just making a little bit easier and better experience for the kids while they're up there.
Listen, just give those kids some machetes. Have them go out there and chop some and cut some tree limbs down. They can patch some roofs up. I mean, seriously, come on. What a great experience. What a fun time.
Right.
6 rares of machetes. Yeah. No problem there at all.
OMAC was also able to, I think I've shared in the past that we do an Excellence Awards banquet. Every school each year picks a classified employee of the year and a certified employee of the year. And then we do a celebration of all 10 schools,
nice.
Come together. And we were able to host that this year. And so it was a lot of fun. And so we actually hosted it in our middle school gym, which is our oldest gym. It's like 78 years old. And we got it all decorated up nice. And thanks to a lot of people throughout our community. And so we were able to host in there and also utilize our PAC. And so I see you're counting.
You have 10 schools? 10 built?
10 schools up and down the valley and counting Manhow Valley. And sorry. Yeah.
I'm thinking, you don't have 10.
No.
What are you talking about? Okay. I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Counting Nispelum, Lake Roosevelt, all the way down to Bridgeport, Brewster Pateros.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, Manhow Valley comes in, all the way from Oroville down.
Oh, what a nice celebration.
It is. It really is. And so what we do is we have, we pick our classified and certified employee of the year, and then we videotape people or them, and to talk about, what they've been doing. And then it's nice because it's only a 1.5-minute video for each person. So it kind of condenses it. Otherwise, you have people like me or you who would get up there and just talk and talk and talk. So it kind of limits the time.
Now, listen, don't drag me into your madness here. No. Can you tell us who they are?
Yes, absolutely. So our classified employee of the year was Pamela Edmonds out of our middle school.
Okay.
And our certified person of the year was Marilyn Ostrich at East. So, it was great. And
Marilyn,
both of them have put in a number of years.
Yeah.
And the way it works is really cool that we send out a survey and then people fill out who they want to nominate. And then we get it together and we see the list of people. And sometimes it's really easy to tell because you have just like 15 votes for one person, and other times it's harder to tell. And man, so many people are nominated. It's a challenge because we have great people, and that's the good thing. Is so many people.
Good for Marilyn, especially if you know her journey.
Yes.
To get where she's at right now. Wow, good for her. Yep. That's wonderful. Yep. I don't know Mrs. Edmund. I don't know her. So
Yep. And she's worked with our JOM program at the middle school for a number of years. Yes. So she's done a great job.
Wonderful.
Well. So I know it was fun. Yeah. It was fun having that celebration with all the schools, and I got to be the MC for the dinner, and so I had a great time telling a few dad jokes there, and as you can imagine. So, an example of that would be.
Oh, please do.
Okay, I had to. So,
okay,
what is made of leather and sounds like a sneeze? A shoe, like a shoe.
Yeah.
I know.
I'm so torn. I have a couple of my. I'm torn. This is really all about you today. So on that happy note,
right.
Gesundheit, by the way.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that you have?
Throughout the year, we also we spend time honoring different groups of people. We'll take a day that's a special day.
Oh.
So like National Teachers Day, Appreciation Day. And so you do that, yeah. So during this month, we've been recognizing principals and teachers, nurses, and National Lunch Heroes. And it's like National Lunch Heroes, that's our food service, our people who serve lunches.
Yeah, that's Dusty.
Yeah. So I love that. And so we make a special day, and oftentimes each of the buildings will do something special, bring in food or fun little treats, something that's unique and special that day.
My wife's been doing it all week long.
Yes.
For their teacher. Yeah. And it's like, what? Jeepers. How come I don't get any food? They're all,
I know, especially when you see it leaving out the door. Did you make extra?
Exactly. Yeah, I've been doing that all week long. Oh, well. That's all good. That's good stuff.
It is.
Because it really builds up building morale and camaraderie.
It does.
That's good.
Because in, like, every job, education has challenges. I mean, there's good days and there's bad days. There's days where you want to go to work and days where you're like, do I have to?
Yeah, I'm reminded of a Jimmy Buffett song where he says there's good days and bad days and going half mad days.
Right.
And that's kind of what that's
right.
Especially in the world of education, because so many twists and turns and just,
it's true.
Yeah.
And in spite of that, people keep coming because they love kids and they want to help establish a kid's future.
Oh, you meant the workers? Right. The kids at the law, they have to keep coming, but that's okay.
Right.
No, really, it is a work of love for so many people.
It is. And a lot of jobs are hard, and I know that. There's moments where it's like, man, I have something challenging coming up. I have a project that I'm working on that's really hard, and I understand that. And teachers are no different than that. And you have these kiddos who come into your classroom or come to the school, and you can see they have a chip on their shoulder. Something happened at night, or they got in a fight with their cousin or their brother or sister, and so then you're working with a whole room full of kids and trying to help them to learn. And some of them came to school hungry, which we're very blessed that we were able to do breakfast and lunch to provide for them for that. And then we have the opportunity to teach them and help them to learn to read and write and do their math, and to start catching a vision of what their future could look like.
Yeah, really.
So,
nice.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Yeah. So I feel very fortunate that we have a lot of great educators and a lot of great bus drivers and transportation, maintenance, secretaries. We have good people who are at OMAC, and that's true up and down the valley. I've said that so many times because, again, we are a community, Okanagan community, and I love that being able to work closely with schools. And I was talking with you just a few minutes about Okanagan, passing their bond, and I'm so happy for them because, again, that reflects our entire community. They're receiving support from their community to do some good things to their buildings, make those updates, and those kids who are living right now in Okanagan, they may be working in the future in OMAC and vice versa. That's part of being a community, is it doesn't matter where your education is taking place so much as that you're focused on helping them to be educated for their future and for the entire community.
Yeah, and it draws people to our area.
It really does. It really does. We have a beautiful area here.
I've said this before this year, but you're talking about some of the unsung heroes and that's behind-the-scenes support staff that the district has. And I've been announcing OMAC basketball, for, I just did 16 years now. And
wow.
I went through Jan Hope, and then I went through Wendy Henserly, and I don't like change. And all of a sudden, Heidi Sam comes along, and wow, fantastic. Kudos all around. She has been doing a wonderful yeoman effort. She's fantastic.
Yes,
so
I would agree.
Once again, my hat's off to Heidi Sam. She's been doing a great job. For me, anyway, working with her has been fantastic. Yeah. What a blessing, and so many others at your school.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, thank you for this wonderful update. I guess that's it. We're going on summer break.
We are, which is hard to believe that we're already in almost the middle of May.